after a game that's in your body, it's almost just like a restlessness. So cannabis was something that was able to, calm all those, whether it's anxiety for you. And at the end of the day,
we've had, as we've said, we've had a lot of movement in the cannabis space, but athletes are still very reluctant to talk about weed at all for various reasons, endorsements, potential penalties, upsetting owners. Talk about the culture now with weed in the NFL. It seems that young folks are more receptive to cannabis now than they certainly are to alcohol. Things are changing in terms of, what we consume and how we consume it, especially younger people. Give me the temperature of the NFL right now and weed use.
Oh man, the temperature, it's always been prevalent in the NFL. I would say that the amount of users has 100% increased over the last, decade with all, like I said, I mentioned earlier, all the information, all the facts, everything that's coming online when it comes to cannabis is more mainstream now. So in turn, there's more people that are, willing to try it now that, it's being destigmatized just a little bit, not fully, but, that's what it's about, just really highlighting the healing powers of the plant, so that we can get through all that mess and really get to the science behind it and really create some new solutions.
Absolutely. I know that you're doing some of that at Primitiv, so maybe this is a good segue to talk about what you're trying to do at Primitiv, what your role is, what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Indeed. I'll just start with Primitiv. And everybody always asks us, why you call yourself Primitiv? It's because, cannabis and plant medicines in general have been used by people for thousands of years. So by definition and by nature, primitive is cannabis, or cannabis is primitive. But to that point, I think that, our experience, along with where we want to go with this, it helped us mold our vision and where we're on our goals and what we're trying to accomplish here. Is really to highlight in the industry. So that's what really exciting for us.
Last point. Can you just repeat that last point you went out first?
Yeah, my bad. Somebody was blowing on my phone right there. Where was that though? But what was I saying? Where was I?
You're talking.
Sorry.
About your role at Primitiv, what the company is trying to accomplish.
Yes, that's right. Right. Yeah, well, we want to highlight the healing powers of the plant. We want to be innovative in this space to bring new customers in, to highlight the healing powers of the plant, and just destigmatize cannabis in general. Those are things that, with our platform, those are things that we could truly accomplish.
Absolutely. Talk about opioid addiction. I know that, of course, we're in a crisis here in America. Doctors tend to recommend opioids almost before anything else. Certainly, athletes have been inundated with opioid addiction. We've seen the crisis kind of unfold with a lot of athletes. Kind of tell me where you kind of think cannabis may play a role in possibly, replacing opioids. I mean, again, this federal prohibition, has a lot to do with kind of the momentum stalling. But just give me your take on, opioids and cannabis and your experience, it being administered those things and kind of being recommended opioids, certainly during your playing.
Yeah, there's a lot to dive into there. Let's just start when I was playing. All those things were readily available. This is before the opioid epidemic really got in the full tilt. I mean, people were passing, people were getting sick from it, but it wasn't hitting the numbers that it is today and over the last couple of years. But my approach in coming into the league, and it's probably the approach of a lot of guys coming into the league, we can't put things that are synthetic into our bodies, because we'll pop up on the drug test, and then we miss 4 games automatically, miss 4 games, no pay. So it was very clear for guys in the league that things that go into our body have to be natural. And so I feel like it should be the same thing for how we medicate ourselves as well. When we put synthetic things in our body, that those things are likely to create toxins, and they're not going to be good for you. I'm a true believer that God put everything on this earth that we need to survive. Now it's upon us to put the new technology to this primitive medicine, such as cannabis, to make it to be a new and innovative piece that can help people and elevate people's lives. So being able to see it from that perspective, see people, family, teammates take the opioids, go down that road, and it could even evolve into other things. Being able to see that firsthand and witness those things. Like I say, I always wanted to put natural things into my body because I was able to witness, and that was a learning experience for me. And throughout when I played, you know, after a game, yes, cannabis was the first thing I went to. There were some things, you know, if I had a surgery or a major injury where you might have to take a Vicodin or something strong, because, you know, sometimes cannabis, to this point, cannabis hasn't been able to do too much for acute injuries, like right after a surgery. But to target inflammation and those things that cause chronic pain, cannabis has been great for that. So we're just continuing. This is what I said. We're just scratching the surface because cannabis is Schedule 1. So it's just now, like I think at the end of 22, Biden signed a bill where we can do more research on cannabis. But all this stuff is just happening now. So we're just scratching the surface on what cannabis can be.
Tell me how your kind of your years kind of unfolding in terms of your work. I mean, what are your big goals on the agenda in terms of your company or adoption or getting into the marketplace? You know, kind of what are some big to-dos on your list?
Yeah. When we started this thing a handful of years ago, it was really just to get vertical, you know, to be able to create a business. And that's what we had to do in order to really dive in further and get into the research, get into creating innovative products. We had to start somewhere. We had to get into the business. We had to get licensed. So our journey has been, you know, everybody has the ebbs and flows to their journey in the cannabis industry. But for us, you know, having a goal, having a vision, having a mission is something that we're aligned to. No matter all the adversities that come that everybody faces in this industry, we're aligned and we're all constantly moving forward to the same beat of the same to the beat of the same drum, because we have a vision. We're moving towards innovation. We're moving towards creating healthcare innovation. So we're aligned like that. I mean, you can't help but rise, especially when your team is on the same page.
Absolutely. I want to get your take on another kind of important sports/hemp development. So the MLB recently signed up its first CBD sponsor. The Chicago Cubs followed that up with their own Chicago hometown CBD official sponsor of the team. You know, give me a sense of how far we are seeing these type of deals with cannabis companies, since, you know, mainstream companies have primarily distanced themselves from this growing emergent industry. I mean, there's a couple of partnerships out there from big mainstream companies, but they're still few and far between.
I think that, you know, we see it with the MLB in the different leagues, because the leagues are, I mean, you would think that they would want to do the best thing for their player. Mm-hmm. You know that, you know, everybody's been exposed to opioids, and to try to do the next best thing, to try to be ahead of the curve, it seems like that's what the MLB is trying to do. They're being very progressive to that point. But at the same time, there's enough information out here nowadays for people to go and see that cannabis, there's a lot, cannabis is just scratching the surface at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And it really just takes people just have to go and, you know, just open up Google, you know. But at the end of the day, companies have to align themselves in a way that promotes cannabis in the best, I guess, face. And like we're talking about destigmatizing cannabis, mm-hmm. It really, that's what it has to be about. It has to be about the healing powers of the plant in order to move this thing forward.
How important is it for, you know, high profile athletes such as yourself to get out there and be honest with, you know, your fans, to talk about these issues? I mean, you know, because some folks are private and they don't want to talk about this stuff, but maybe just talk about, you know, the role and the platform that you have to talk about your experiences in cannabis. Yeah,
man, that's the tough part. The toughest part for me, it wasn't so much, you know, letting everybody else know that I smoke cannabis. It was getting past the fact that Miss Johnson knew that I was letting everybody else know that I smoked cannabis. You know, Mama Johnson don't play. But to that point, man, it's like to have the profile that we have, you know, to have lived and as a role model, and to come out now as, you know, using cannabis, you know, I feel like people had to listen, because, you know, I'm not, and I don't get into a lot of mess. You know, I really try to stay, you know, keep on a straightened path. And, you know, this is something that I feel like was just brought to me in time. And I feel like all the good things that have happened to me in my life, it's all just been about timing and being ready for when that time comes. So I think that, you know, we put ourselves in a position to be ready when the cannabis industry came, and when you know, like we're talking about now, teams are starting to open up the door to the possibility of using cannabinoids. And right now it's just CBD. It's not necessarily THC. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, teams are seeing that there's healing properties in this. And to have an NFL, a MLB, or an NBA team, you would think that you want to be on the cutting edge of anything that's going to be good for your players. And I think that's probably a good big reason why the MLB and some of these leagues are starting to look at CBD and some of the other minor cannabinoids.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if other sports leagues. I mean, it seems like the NBA is really, playing a progressive role here for various reasons. I think some of their players have been pretty outspoken. I think they're, they're just more forward facing, and they're talking about a lot of social issues in general. I think about LeBron and some of these players, and I think that cannabis is one of these social issues that are kind of intertwined in kind of just, the issues that we're seeing, and opportunities in this country. In terms of Primitiv, Kelvin, are you doing nationwide work? Are you guys concentrating on, Detroit proper or Michigan proper?
Yeah, originally we're just focused on getting our, everything squared away in Michigan, getting ourselves vertical. And now, we're at a point where we're reaching outside, we're branching outside the state now. We're able to do some licensing deals outside of the state with our brand Primitiv, and we're able to hit e-commerce with our new brand, our new line of products that we dropped with Primitiv Performance. We dropped 2 new SKUs there. It's a rehydration solution and a transdermal topical cream. Both of them to, just to really target and impact inflammation, both internally and superficially.
Nice. Is there certain markets that you're particularly excited about here in the United States or, internationally?
I'm most excited about, and it's hard to, put a name on this target group, I guess, but it's anything processing related.
Okay.
There's so many things that are happening right now behind the scenes, whether you're talking about beverages or just new applications that are coming, and all that happens on the processing and manufacturing side of the industry. So it's exciting what's to come because, yes, flower is the #1 thing. It's the #1 SKU right now when it comes to cannabis. But over time, as new customers come on and new applications come on, that'll start to change.
Before we get to some Q&A with the audience, Kelvin, I just want to know, are you planning to go to MJBizcon this year? You did you were stellar on the celeb panel last year. Got, tons of hits, tons of viral momentum.
Man, the MJBizcon, I love it, man. I love just to meet all the people in the industry. I love to see all the new things that are happening. So I'm definitely going to be there. I look forward to it, 100%.
It's great to hear that. And just to let everyone know that our early bird special is ending today. So if you want to catch that last deal, go out and get it today. Well, Kelvin, that's really all the questions that I had for you. If there's anything else you want to bring up or address, I'm here for it. But if not, I really appreciate you taking out time to talk a little bit to us about your journey and what Primitiv is all about.
No, I appreciate it, man. Like I say, man, I'm just very excited about what we're doing when it comes to Primitiv Performance, and all those SKUs. They do have THC SKUs as well, but that's just for the Michigan market. It is e-commerce, so it's available online at primitivperformance.com. Our rehydration solution and our topical, those are the things we came out with because those are the things that we use when we were playing in the NFL. Always trying to use a new and up whatever's new as far as rehydration and whatever's new as far as topical creams. And what we're able to do to these things is make them more functional. We're able to add anti-inflammatory properties to them, which we don't have, which aren't out there. Right now, it might just be cooling and heating effects to these things, but we're actually adding properties and that are going to actually help your body. So I'm looking forward to getting those in people's hands because everybody has tried our topical, they love it, the drink as well. So it's very exciting. What we're working on here in Primitiv.
And are those for athletes specific, or they should just for everyday folk?
It's for the everyday athlete. I feel like everybody got an athlete in them. So I think it's for the everyday athlete. I mean, put it like this. I use it, and the funny thing is, like when we all, and just marketing in general, we see our favorite athletes using something, then we're more prone to use it.
Of course. I mean, I still have Jordans, lots of them. Okay, Calvin, looks like connection's getting a little sketchy So I'm going to let you go and just say that thanks again for joining us. We had a great conversation here. Really appreciate your time. And good luck with everything you're doing this year and with Primitiv.